seen something like me.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Walking with Walfinch. Today being shot at the Care Show XL 2024. I've been joined by Anne Taylor, the Anne Taylor can I say, the CEO and founder of Hilton Partners. Hilton Nursing Partners.
Hilton Nursing Partners.
My gosh, you're making me tongue twisted here. So Anne Taylor is the CEO and founder of Hilton Nursing Partners. She's also the co-founder of WAGS, which is very cool. So what is WAGS?
WAGS is the Women Achieving Greatness in Social Care, really set up, Amrit, to mirror the Boys Club.
Nice.
And a couple of years ago, I was actually one of the big national events, Pinders, Knight Frank, Healthcare Investor, which is made up of 80% of men in suits, talking about golf days, about after dinner speakers, rugby speakers. And I sat with my colleague Lisa Carr and went, do you know what, we need to do something for women.
Yeah.
We need to do something that actually can match and exceed what they're doing. So that's how WAGS came about. It started very much as a few women going, we can do this.
How interesting, and welcome to the show. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on.
Thank
I know
you.
You've got a tremendously busy day today. So it's such a wonderful thing, WAGS, and it's kind of just come out of nowhere and just flying, isn't it? It's really taken everything with a storm.
Yeah, we were really, really amazed because, you know, as I say, we started off saying, let's just get some people for lunch.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that we realised is that women prefer to do things in the daytime rather than at night, because mainly they're the ones that have to go home to the kids that they prefer kind of like smaller, intimate events where they can actually talk to people and that they feel confident to talk to people. So our first event was actually in the Ivy in Covent Garden, down in the basement, a small private dining area where we invited probably about 30, 40 people and just said, you know, this is a girls' day. This is a girls' day. And everybody was like, oh my goodness, you've got to do more of this. We want to do this more often. Quite a few of them didn't actually go home after lunch. We went to a champagne bar.
Shocking, that.
It was shocking. But it was really amazing how many people went, that was so amazing, can we do this again?
And it was yourself and Lisa that set this up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. Okay.
Absolutely.
And so, tell me, how long ago was this?
This will be our third year.
Third year.
So it's our third year. We got a few of the really enthusiastic people together and said, what do you really want to see then?
Yeah.
What is it that you want to do? And the awards kind of came out of that. Well, let's just have some real girl power awards. So we set up the awards. The first award event, which was at Bankside in London, went really, really well. Last year, it just smashed any other awards ceremony.
Because it's the most coveted award in the sector.
Absolutely. Actually. But what was really lovely is that a lot of the people that were up for awards said the atmosphere, the party atmosphere, the camaraderie.
Yeah.
The awards were just kind of nice to have at the end, but we didn't really need to do that. It was just a really good, it's a time when people just celebrate each other.
So many people have said that to me, and I know when we met up last year, we had this whole conversation.
Oh, that's when I had a hangover. Yeah, no, I remember that. Yep.
I wasn't going to say it.
Yeah, no, I did. Yeah, I did.
But actually, so much of it is exactly that. It's a camaraderie bit, right? And I think that's kind of what's been lacking, which is really interesting. Being in a sector that is 80% women, right? If not more. Yeah. And most of the men are actually just right at the top.
Absolutely.
And how does that make you feel?
Absolutely.
And, you know, what do you? And I'm not asking being a spokesperson for all women in the sector, but you know, you are a pioneer of something really important here, and you know, I'm really interested.
And it's effortless. This is quite effortless. What we realised is actually when you want to ask a question about, you know, I'm a CEO, it's quite lonely at the top.
Yeah.
It's even lonelier as a woman.
Yeah.
Because
and do
men,
you find that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
So
because when I ask a man, you know, as you're a CEO, can I just say, how would you deal with, you know, I've got some my issues are not your issues.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you would, but some men are quite condescending about, well, I don't have that issue, do I, because I'm not a woman.
Yeah.
So the effortlessness of actually talking to other CEOs to go, did you do that? And they go, oh, yeah.
And what sort of things, if you don't mind me asking?
Recruiting senior leaders within the role.
That are men? Or is that a difficult dynamic?
Who's best for the job?
Yeah.
Not particularly what sex they are. Who's best for the job? So that's a fairly big one. How you deal, you know, it's just like the loneliness. So contracting, kind of commissioning issues. You know, I've got a lot of WAG friends now that I will go, you know, I've got a real, you know, my tender's up, you know, I've got some issues. And we have real honest conversations. They've been through it too.
Yeah. And
have you thought about doing this? And I feel comfortable talking to them.
Yeah.
And they feel comfortable sharing their experiences. It's just an easy conversation. Women talk all the time.
Yeah. But
so these conversations are really, really vital. And what I'm finding now, which is lovely, is that the network within WAGS is that people are ringing each other up.
Yeah.
So I had a couple of calls going, and do you know anybody who's been through this situation? No, I haven't myself. I know somebody who has.
Yeah.
I'll give you their number.
Yeah.
So
Wonderful.
That kind of, you know, girl power is really, really working well.
And it's really interesting, isn't it? Because you're right, the boys' club and so on, and I think, you know, everyone has their own separate sort of chip. I've got my own, you know, and you know, growing up as a first-generation immigrant, you know, you kind of bypass a lot of popular culture stuff, and you don't really understand necessarily what's going on, and you're kind of ousted, but not in a malicious way. It's just naturally you're not involved in that. And my sister, who's on the panel with us later on today at WAGS, she's been a leader in my in the business for a long time, and we found, and I've kind of through her lived this sort of, what? You know, you've got guys that don't want to be managed by you, and you know, if I say something, that's okay. If she says something, there's always a problem with it. And it's so interesting seeing live issues like that, and which I just frankly was completely unaware of, but have lived different things in a similar way, you know, and that feeling of feeling wrong.
But I do think that's why men kind of take those more senior roles. Yeah. Because women are much more, you know, they're lunar walls. Yeah. They encompass their group. They lead from the back. They make sure everybody's okay. Yeah. And in care, that's a really, really valuable
Isn't
asset.
That the only thing? You
Absolutely.
Know, that's it. Yeah.
I think men like to lead from the front.
Ego is there.
Yeah. So I'm not, you know, I'm not anti-men.
No.
By no way am I anti-men. But actually using, so I find sometimes as a CEO in an organisation that is 80% women, that they get me and they can understand. So I think that women CEOs, especially in this sector, and CFOs, you know, any senior leadership team have got more to bring than people realise.
It's really funny, isn't it? Because I think, and I'm going to go public with a bit of information here that I shouldn't really, but so my wife has an older brother, and it's just those two, and I have 3 older sisters. And so what's really hilarious is that, you know, if we're picking films to watch or things to do, I'll always go for the more sort of, you know, relaxed option, the rom-coms, and I like a spa and whatever, and she's like, no. You know, I'm like Star Trek and so on. It's like, you know, it's like, hey, have you seen my nails? And it's very funny, but you know, and that feeling has always actually helped me within the sector, because you as a generally speaking, and I'm going to generalize as well, but I think as a guy, you are there, and it's all about like, I need to be right and win. Yeah. And I don't think instinctively it's the same when you've got women in that role. Yeah. And I found that women in senior leadership roles, certainly I've found, you know, in my experience, that they have found certain things easier because of the sector that we're in. Yeah. But you must have had a lot of backlash with creating women achieving greatness and not, you know, I imagine, right? Or have you not?
Yeah, I think we have. The name was an issue to start with, but actually we wanted to wear that name with pride.
Nice.
Because there is an awful lot of females who are wives and girlfriends of footballers who have done so much better than their partners. They actually, their careers are greater. So we kind of wear that with pride. It's not, we don't exclude men. You know that, you're on my WAGS panel.
I'm on your WAGS WAGS.
I can use men, where I need them to be within my organisation. And they bring value to the business.
But it's what you said earlier, isn't it? It's about getting the right people.
The right person, absolutely.
And not being hung up on, what country you're from, and are you male, female, and so on. Are you right for the role?
So one of the first, well, not one of the first, one of the many problems that I've had is buying cars. Buying cars. If you haven't got a man with you, you're not going to buy it, are you? And are you just worried about the colour? That's an issue. And investors.
Okay.
Investors.
Because you've done some really sort of, enterprise level work.
I've pitched to investors where, my lawyers and the people around me going, you need to have a guy with you. They'll listen to a guy. And I'm like, well, no, because I don't want a guy with me. And then realise that actually when you come out of that pitch, you did need a guy with you. Because investors are looking for that, I don't know, that arrogance, that ability to push forward.
That's really quite unbelievable, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, so buying a car or getting money.
I mean, and they're pretty integral pieces when you're running, a sort of thriving business as you are. And how have you overcome that? Like, what can you, someone that is in their early 20s and in the sector, trying to grow, combating the same issues that you did, which would be different from, when you were down there, but what can they do now, and how?
I think it is different now. I think that there are more positive feelings towards women. If you're going to buy a car, take a guy with you. Or just like that. It's not a problem.
I'll need to take my wife. She knows more about them. So.
Don't get too angry when they don't talk to you. Just buy the car. They're a salesman. It doesn't matter. But I do think, and that is what WAGS is about. Is it's actually empowering women to say, if you don't know how to do it, ring one of us. Talk to us. So we're about to launch, we're launching it today, our mentoring program.
Wonderful.
Where Rising Stars was somebody who actually wants to achieve, has got some really good ambition, not quite sure. They come up against that sticky problem, like I've got to go to an investor and I'm not a male, where we can actually talk that through, where we can actually say, it may be better to have a junior with you. It's okay. Or this is what you need to do. And there are some really powerful women in the WAGS that will have the answers that they need.
Phenomenal.
But also the reverse mentoring, which is really important.
So what is
because,
that?
Well, sometimes we think we know everything because we've been about a lot. And you know this because I've had this conversation with you. The future of social care doesn't sit with the generation that's actually leading it at the moment.
And that's what we're talking about later, actually.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the future of social care has got to look different, and it's got to have creativity, and it's got to have diversity, and it's got to have new blood. So the younger generation of WAGS have a lot to teach people like me. It might have been like that in your day, Anne, but
I mean, you've got a very, certainly my experience now is very much so, there's a very powerful leader in women today. And I think that is very different. I think my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think when you were starting out, it would have been you fighting against this patriarchy. Whereas actually now I think there is a much more respect for women in business.
And there are stronger women because
they don't take any BS, right?
We're bringing our girls up differently. I can remember when I started my first business, I used to go home at 3 o'clock because I would never let my kids actually come home from school and I wasn't there.
Yeah.
You know, so I'd kind of sit down as if I'd been there all day, you know, make them a snack, then I'd go back to work.
Yeah.
That's big multitasking.
Yeah.
But a lot of women had to manage schooling, you know, the house, managing food. But I think now men have stepped up to the plate as well.
Truly.
Men have really stepped up to the plate.
You know, if I speak to my father now, he doesn't regret any of the time that we spent together.
Yeah.
And if anything, he's like, look, you know, yes, I've worked and done businesses and whatever, but actually if I could have my time again, I would just spend more time with the children.
Yeah.
And so I really think about that and you know, very actively involved in my, you know, did a school drop before coming here this morning, almost got late for my first talk.
Absolutely.
And, you know, and so on. And so, you know, literally 9 out of 10 bedtimes I'll do myself and you know and all that, and I think it's so important that that role is shared and shifted.
Absolutely.
And so it also gives you a true understanding of the plight actually.
And the relationship with your kids will be amazing.
Wow.
You know, it won't be your father was the breadwinner. Your father, I never saw him, but really good father because you know
because he put
food on the table.
And actually that whole piece about raising your daughters different. I've got 2 daughters. And you know, my eldest is turning 5, and she'll look. You know, on my birthday, I want to be Batman, or you know, or a king. You know, and I'm like, great, you can. You know, and it's really sort of cultivating that and allowing that to happen rather than just smacking that out of them at that age. I think because the work that we do at that stage will develop strong leaders. I think. I believe. Anyway, you know,
and it's cultural. You know, it is a culture. It's a culture of I can achieve what I want to achieve, not I can achieve anything any other woman can do.
Yeah.
You can achieve anything.
You just achieve anything.
Absolutely.
Right? You know,
absolutely.
And that is great, and I think it's so empowering. When I came across WAGS, I was so surprised that there was nothing for women in the sector. And I don't mean to laugh at it, but it's just shocking, right? You know, we've got this very mature sector. It's been operating for over 20 years. It's been operated by women, predominantly. And you've got a couple of guys in these senior roles, but actually it's run by women. But there's nothing for them, and that, you know, that kind of reward and remuneration piece, and you know, and I don't necessarily mean financial. I mean, you know, emotional stuff. Like that is. Really interesting what you've achieved.
It's quite strong. Yeah, I'm really, really proud of it. We've started doing some podcasts. And
I listened to one with Raina and Jasmine. That was great.
You know, there's 2 really, really amazing, powerful women.
Wow.
But really great fun to have. And actually, WAGS isn't just about let's just talk about the problems we have as, you know, leaders in social care. It's like, oh no, I want to have some fun with you as well. I like you. I want to be, you know, I want to spend some social time as well. We have a lot of social time, Amrit. I have to say.
I bet,
there is a lot of social time.
But that is so important because you know, we spend so much of our time in this. You know, and I think you're so right. You know, someone like Raina, for example, and there's so many examples of great people like that are just willing. You can pick up the phone to them. You can ask them questions, and they'll give you that, right? And they'll introduce you to the right people, and it's just really open. And I think that you know, there's not that kind of attitude of, well, no, I'm a competitor. I'm going to keep this close to my chest.
Absolutely
it's kind of a very share and care type of mindset.
What makes me quite sad is we could name the amazing women at the top.
That is sad.
We can name them. I can't name all the men. But I can name all the women.
And that is truly quite sad, I think. You know, when you're looking at this sector and
the amount of people that are in the sector.
It's well, there's over 5,500 people in here today. You know, and it's so. Can I ask you, how else can people access WAGS? How else can that support? So you've got mentoring, you've got reverse mentoring, you've got the podcast. What other ways? And you know, you've got the awards. When do they come out?
So we start judging for the awards through the summer. We have the big event in November.
Right. Okay. That's the go-to.
But actually, you know, it's not a club. It's not. You don't have to have a joining fee. you have to want to engage with other people.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've just spoken to 2 people today who was like, I really want to know what you're doing. And I was like, okay, go on the website, just put your email, my telephone number's on there, give me a ring.
Yeah.
I met somebody about 2 months ago on an international recruitment event. And I actually met her in the ladies' toilet, and she was like, oh, I liked what you've just said. I'd like to invite you out for a coffee. I went and had a coffee with her. She is the most amazing. I said, I don't want to talk about me, I want to talk about you. You are amazing. At the end of that, our 2 hours, which was supposed to be an hour, but it kind of went on, I went, I'm going to do a podcast with you. You are a WAG. She had no idea what WAGs are, and now she's like really excited about it. So it is just around people talking to other people and saying, you do a really good job in social care. If you need to be part of something that's a little bit bigger, just join us.
I think it's tremendous. Honestly, I think that you are so amazing for creating this, and it has taken such beautiful shape.
Yeah.
And it's become it's shocking that it's only been around for a few years.
Yeah.
So, and I probably should have asked you this question at the beginning, but you've got this really amazing business history, and I was really surprised when we met for lunch last year. And you told me about it. I didn't know a lot of that stuff, and it was, just phenomenal. You were really somebody that people can learn from in how to build a business. But I wonder if you wouldn't mind sharing in a little snapshot, your journey, because you've built businesses, bought businesses, sold businesses.
Yeah. Like majority of other people in social care, it was never an intention to be in social care.
Yeah.
My background's accountancy. I worked for an accountancy firm. I worked for Lloyd's Underwriters as a runner when I left school. I've kind of I've worked in the city in nothing to do with care. And it wasn't until I had my children that somebody in a small dom care operation asked me if I would just do their payroll and invoicing and before 3 o'clock so I could get home for the kids, which I did. And it kind of went from there, really. Just fell in love with how it's not work.
Yeah.
You're changing people's lives every day.
Yeah.
So Hilton Nursing Partners, I've worked for corporates, I've done the troubleshooting, I've had the very flash car, I've done, the big salaries. When I started Hilton Nursing Partners, it was purely on my own experience with my own mum around hospital discharging. And actually, I run dom care. I've only ever run dom care. I've never had a care home. And I realised that I wasn't actually really proud about how staff are treated within the dom care sector. They're not paid, they're paid 0-hour contracts. If you haven't got the work, they don't get paid.
Yeah.
The best staff are always the ones that you're just ringing on a Friday night to pick up at the weekend. All those kind of things that so we built a staffing model that actually looked at work-life balance, on people on a salary. You know what you're doing when you're doing it, and actually there's no desire to fit in 20 half-an-hour calls because you get paid per call. Actually, you'll be paid a 12-hour shift, and if you only look after 4 people in that 12-hour shift, that's okay as well. So it gave the people who are the recipients of care a much better experience. And we, as I say, we have just been listed on the Daily Telegraph Best Workplaces 2024, which I'm super
Top
proud
100
about.
list.
Super proud of.
Only one in social care?
Only one in social care.
Wow.
So it was like booking.com, DHL, Starbucks.
Just phenomenal.
Yeah. But it really is about understanding your staff.
Yeah.
Because if you get it right with your staff, the staff will deliver great care.
Yes, truly.
If you don't get that right,
No, great. And so I often ask guests at the end here for one actionable piece of advice that they can give to the listeners that will help them achieve their goals. And usually that is that entrepreneurial goal. But I think today, maybe something really specific that a striving career person, a woman, could do that would help move the needle faster for them?
I would say just think outside of the box. It's all around Lego for me.
Yeah.
Don't keep putting the Lego back together thinking that it's all going to be okay.
Yeah.
Smash it, build it again. It'll look amazing.
That is great. Thank you so much, Anne. And
thank you, my lovely.
thank you for
It's
being
been an
on.
absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
I've walked a mile. I've walked a bloody mile.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Walking with Walfinch. That was really quite phenomenal, about somebody that has pioneered great change within a sector that has been led by women and now is really implementing a great thank you to the women in the sector. Thanks, Anne Taylor, for coming on today.